Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 2, Episode 7. It is called A Human Face. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. This episode stars Christopher Maloney and Jenna Elfman, and I couldn't remember who she was, even though I swore I recognised her. Turns out she was the one from Dharma and Greg and other sitcoms from around that time period. But she's obviously a bit older, she has longer hair, so it was kind of like, I kind of recognise her, but there's a disconnect. Anyway, so they're a married couple who are moving house, seemingly not too long after the death of their teenage daughter. And just as they're about to leave and they're grieving, a weird electrical anomaly happens. Something that was foreshadowed on the radio saying that there was going to be a shooting star or something like that. And then there's a weird alien translucent mole that's about the size of a tiger in the house. And then it forms into their dead daughter and all the emotional turmoil that comes from that. So that's the basic gist of the episode. Tara, what did you think of A Human Face?
Well, I'm always going to be positive with the Star Trek Discovery crossover with the tardigrade. But it's I actually kind of like this one, and I think I'll defend it. I think I'll be on the defensive side.
You sure? You sure you're taking that role?
Yes. Yes, I'm sticking to it.
Tower for the defense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so this episode's starting, right? And as with a lot of these episodes, I sort of immediately kind of got what the overall analogy, what it's doing, right? The whole idea is that they're moving out of the home that they had with their daughter, and the grieving so hard, and this alien that takes the daughter's face is literally trying to stop them from leaving. And I was like, okay, I get what they're doing here. That's it's just like a literal representation of like the pain of having to leave and not wanting to leave it behind and not wanting to move on, right? Doing that, fine. But as per usual, by the time it gets to the end of the episode, that metaphor's thrown out the window and shat on and set on fire. So,
see, I don't think it was bad, because the whole point of, or the whole thing at the end is that, the alien, she gets compared to like an anglerfish, with the little thing in the front with the light on it that draws the victims in so that they can be eaten. Christopher Maloney's character, Robert, whose name gets mentioned a lot in this episode, he compares her to that. And Jenna Elfman, who's the mom who keeps seeing her daughter, says, that she's having a hard time seeing it as an alien once it takes the shape of their daughter and knows everything that she knows. And, but she compares that little angler thing to love, and okay. I thought that the message at the end was, so we're being lured into something that might end in tragedy, but the feeling of love is worth it. Much like a lot of relationships end in tragedy, but it's still worth it. It's actually kind of a similar lesson to Arrival, when you really think about it.
I feel like, and I know Tara hates that phrase.
I do. Don't tell me what you feel. Tell me what you think.
Okay. Right. So that would work for me if it was ambiguous to us, like how real or unreal this was. But we know this is a lie. They know it's a lie.
Yeah, they do too.
Yeah. So they know it's all. I don't think that message at all works for me when right from the start of the episode, as soon as the mum starts saying, I think I saw her, like, and it's not even changed its face yet. It's just this translucent looking horrible mole thing. It's like, do you think it was her? Do you think it's the ghost of her daughter? I'm like, what are you talking about, you crazy woman? It was a freaky electric staticky translucent mole thing. What are you talking about? Like, and the dad's kind of a dick in this, the way he talks down to her. But I never was convinced at any point in this episode that he's not completely 100% right on his opinion about what this alien is and the dangers of what this alien is. So I think it failed in making me consider her point of view, and I don't think it ever really got out of that for me, and especially once, because this is the thing, like all along the episode, there's a point where the alien's pretended to be her daughter and has the daughter's memories and kind of has this emotional thing with both the parents where she kind of calls out how they really acted around her, and how they never saw her for who she actually is, only what they wanted her to be or what her problems were. And it's implied that the daughter didn't die naturally. It was, it was a suicide.
Pills. Yeah.
And all this stuff. And then later on, when the alien realizes they're not buying it, and he's kind of convinced the wife, like, this is some sort of disguise, blah blah. She comes out, and the alien's like, yeah, I'm not really your daughter, but I have all of her memories now, and it's kind of, I've changed my mind as to what my plan was going to be. I was supposed to infiltrate and conquer and all that. So when he says, she literally used the word conquer, how can we just trust her? And I'm like, he's got a point. I don't know.
That's the thing too. I actually liked that I was on his side the whole episode. It wasn't like, obviously Barbara, the mother, is acting ridiculous, but she's also, she is going through the grieving in the mourning still, and to see her daughter there in front of her, even though she knows it's an alien, is still like a tough thing for her to like get over.
Yeah, I don't think the end of the episode works in any respect, because we're on his side the entire time, it doesn't work, because there's no, I mean, even if we understand that they're making the wrong choice, but we understand why they're making the wrong choice, because it's good character work and we see the mistake they're making, but we understand why they're making it, that would be one thing. But I don't think that's even there either, because we don't even get a sense of like why, like beyond just what's on the paper, like, because I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, they lost their daughter and now they get to be with her again. Of course they want to do this. Yes, on paper, yes. In black and white, that makes some amount of logical sense. But the episode does nothing to make me actually care about either of these characters. It's like the whole time, I just like, neither of you are particularly likable, but he's right. He's right the whole time. I never waver for that. It never made me even once for a second consider that the wife might be actually right, and to want to believe in the hope and want to believe in the love. And maybe then why have a hopeful ending, which is why maybe we were supposed to look at this and say they're all making the wrong choice. Because obviously, as they walk out the house, and she's finally convinced even the dad to like sort of go along with the lie, even if he knows it's not real. We see like every other house is walking out with families who are presumably all with at least one person who they've lost. They're all happy in this kind of dreamlike state because they've all had someone return to them. And this could just be the large invasion happening. This is all the infiltration. This is all the tackle via emotion tactic.
Or it could be that the tardigrade alien thing is actually, feeling the emotions of love and wants to be in this little community now, wants to be part of it. Because that's what the narration at the end from Jordan Peele is that seemingly all these people are now like part of their own little community in the Twilight Zone.
I mean, I guess the episode never like makes me feel for either of these characters, so it never gives me the sense of like, because I guess what you're wanting from this is you're wanting that kind of ambiguity at the end where you're like, maybe this is the wrong choice, but I understand why they feel this way, and I want to hope for them that it's true. I want to hope for them that they can be happy now. And I never really felt that. It never gives me enough from either of these characters. It's mostly bickering about what they were to their daughter. This is purely a case of the script's just not good enough. It's not good enough to actually set up the dramatic beats at the ending. I felt nothing from this.
I mean, I don't think it's great, but I do think that it's better, and I think it's one of the most like a original Twilight Zone that we've gotten in premise anyway, with an alien coming in, disguising itself with a human face, and then a couple who are, split up because of the loss of their daughter are, have a second chance, even though they know it's not real. It's the love is there and it feels real enough that they can, maybe bond again. Like I don't know, it worked for me. And I didn't think the script was that bad. I thought some of the special effects of the tardigrade thing in the beginning was a little rough, and like the special effects looked fine. I don't know why it had to be chewing on a table. Like if it had just showed up as their daughter, I think it would have been okay.
Yeah, we got this weird
or just
effect.
Like a goo.
We got this weird
goo.
We got this weird effect as it was transforming from the mole thing into like the person. So it's sort of like pulsing and like sort of almost blob-like effects of it changing around.
Yeah.
But now to go back to the script, because I think it's really important to get this point across, is that I just it's one thing to just put the A to B, like here's like what we're saying the characters are going through. And yeah, you can sit here and justify it and say technically you understand why all these things are happening, but I don't think the script ever actually makes me care about it or makes me want this to happen to these characters. It's just kind of a really basic, here it is. Whereas the original Twilight Zone, whenever it would do an episode like this where you have a character who goes through something and then makes the choice to like give in to the illusion or something by the end, you kind of understand it. Whereas here, it almost like feels as hollow as the charade that the alien has, where the alien's kind of talking about all these past memories and then reveals everything, right? But it's all just these like they're just pushing these emotional buttons. It's just all trickery.
Yeah, but
and
some
then,
of the reveals were very interesting, like the denial of the mother, like you called her scatterbrain because you needed to know that you needed to think that she was that way so that you couldn't be blamed for her decision to kill herself.
Oh, yeah, but the point I'm getting to is at the end when she just goes in and says, your daughter always loved you to the dad, and that's what convinces him to go with them. I just didn't buy it. It was a flick of a switch. There was no. I don't think it sufficiently set up the idea that he was worried that his daughter didn't love him, so that when he found out she did, it actually had any impact. It was more just like, well, of course that's what he was worried about, because that's what a father would be worried about.
For me, it was more like he was just so aggressive, like even to the wife, like he had blamed her for some reason. And he, by the time that at the end of the episode, there's his daughter again, who's telling her that she loves him and she always loved him, and then embracing him, and then he kind of lets his anger go a bit and accepts the love again. But I mean, that's what I got from it. But yeah, I understand why you didn't. I'm not saying it's great or particularly well done. I'm thinking that it's just like it's a good enough episode. I understand what they were trying to do, and I didn't think they screwed it up that much.
It's not complete garbage. I wouldn't say it's good. There's there's more in between. There's more on the scale in between.
I think it's good. I think on the scale of this series, it's one of the better ones. Personally,
I'd say it's borderline passable. As if I'm giving it a tier here. I just the characters I don't think ever really sell me. Everything moves too fast as well. Like I've got to use that sentence again. I just the characters. There should be more of a slow like shock of what this thing is, but it's so determined to have the kind of the quick like yelling at each other and arguing about what this is, as opposed to kind of like imagine a scene where they walk into the room and the daughter's just standing there, and they're just kind of like, what is this? I almost think that showing it as something else and then transforming it into the daughter is like a huge disservice to the actual ambiguity of the whole thing.
I like the decision. I like the decision that I don't love the look of the alien gnawing on the side of a table, but like if it was just a pile of goo or something, I like that they know right away that this thing can't trick us into us thinking it's our daughter. Like we know it's not, and we saw it as a giant insect before, but I don't know. I like that angle. Like, it's not trying to trick them into saying that it's their daughter. They have to find a new angle to like get close to him. It's, well, I'm good enough. I've got everything that she has. I have all her memories, and it's about that acceptance instead.
Yeah, I feel like you're adding a lot of things that that aren't really. I mean, they're there in
really?
concept, but you're adding a lot of things that aren't. They're in the feeling. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Huh? Okay.
No, you're not. The episode at the end, when he makes his choice to go with them, I should feel a tragedy there. I should feel like he's given into something, and it should feel sad, but it doesn't. But it also doesn't.
I understand.
But it also doesn't feel happy either. It feels nothing. I don't feel anything at all of like either happy or sad or worried or like they've made the wrong choice or the right choice. I mean, technically, I think they've made the wrong choice, but. I also don't feel like a big... Because if they set up this whole thing where we're rooting for him to make the right choice, to not give in to this temptation, that it is a temptation, that it's something that he can't do, it's something that he shouldn't do, and then the wife is maybe given into it too easily, then that could be something. Or alternatively, this idea of, well, this being now feels love and therefore doesn't want to kill us anymore, it wants to be a part of our world, and it's connecting through our daughter, because there's a moment where the wife says, "I don't care if it's not really our daughter. I'm going to love it all the same because it needs guidance. It needs us anyway. This is a second chance." And it may be a bit weird, and it could maybe have went that route where it's okay. It's this more sympathetic thing where this alien's, found love, understood what it feels like now, and now doesn't desire the everything else that it did before, the conquering and whatnot. And you could have kind of a heartfelt story of love and acceptance and being there and forming a bond and all these other things. And it's kind of like sometimes in like sci-fi stories where writers want to like say how great humanity is, because like aliens have no feeling, but when they find human beings, like, these humans, they've got a lot of flaws, but by God they love things and they feel for each other and they sacrifice and all these things that aliens don't do. And it's a little bit like, patting ourselves in the back and saying, hey, humanity, we've got our positives. Like, it could have went down that route and it could have been kind of a heartwarming ending. I don't really feel like it does either of those things. I don't feel the sense of tragedy.
You're right. It's not extreme on either end for as far as the, what you should feel at the end of it. But I understood. I thought it was a tight little story about, what it wanted to tell. It wasn't too long. There's a little bit too many Roberts in it. Like they just say Robert a lot. Robert. That kind of irritated me. But I don't know. I thought it was all right. I don't think it's... I don't think it's bad.
Do I can compare this to? We just recently on the Ace reviewed Upstream Color, and you were really upset at that movie because you understood what it was doing, but you felt like it had actually nothing to say, and you couldn't understand what it was actually trying to do. That's my feeling on this episode. I have no idea. This one
does have something to say. Like, this has, it's telling you, it's telling you that sometimes relationships end in tragedy, but the journey is worth it because the feeling of love is, can't be replaced by anything. It's better to have loved than lost and never to have loved at all.
I guess, but how does the ending fit into any of that?
Because that's what the mom says at the end. She says, she's luring me into love, and maybe, this is a trick, but I don't care. I like this feeling, and I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, but what about the idea of replacing something you already love with a replacement? Like, where does that factor into any of that?
What do you mean?
Or accepting the lie of it. Like, I don't feel like that includes like a lot of what the episode's doing with the accepting the lie of this secondary thing, this replacement of love.
I think, I don't know. I think that I think you want to hate it, and I understand. I think I made my point pretty clear, but I can say it again if you like.
No, I think the point is kind of ignoring a couple of things, or not ignoring. Like, I think the point is there. I'm not saying the point isn't like in there, but I feel like it's not really accounting for all the things the episode's doing. So there's still something left hanging where I'm like, well, what's the point of this part?
Well, like, what part?
Well, the replacement part, the fact that someone is like the whole idea of accepting the lie and accepting the possibility of all this. Like, because it's not like
there's always a risk, there's always a risk in when you have a relationship with somebody that they're not what they seem to be, but I don't know, it's just like, this is our second chance, even though we know it's not real. It's real enough.
But it's not a risk. They know that she's not what she seems to be. So I don't think that comparison is even that genuine. That's just like saying, you know what, I'm going to marry this I'm going to marry this axe murderer, and I know there's a risk that he might be an axe murderer, but you know what, I'm just going to give him a chance anyway. That's what this is.
Well, what if the axe murderer really loves you? You're not going to get murdered, probably. I mean,
yeah. How many murders are the person's spouse is responsible? What that statistic? It's quite high, I'm sure.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe being a neighbor is safer because they always interview the neighbor after.
Yes.
Oh, he seemed like a great guy. Came over for barbecue every Sunday.
Yes. I mean, we disagree in this episode, I guess. But
yeah, I don't think it's great, obviously, but I don't think it's bad. Like, I understand the point. I think this one is one of the more tighter scripts that has been in the series, honestly.
I mean, apart from my complaints that I just disagree with all of that, I would also say that it wasn't that enjoyable to actually watch. I didn't necessarily like the pacing of the episode, or I thought it was kind of rushing through certain things a bit too quickly, not really sinking in the shock of what they were seeing. The visual style, as it has been for most of the episodes, I didn't really enjoy that much.
Yeah, I still don't really enjoy that either.
Yeah.
I thought the pacing was fine, but I didn't enjoy I just don't like the look of the show. It's such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, well, the look of the show, it's so determined to be this ultra stylized, kind of glossy thing where, kind of what I love about old Twilight Zone is just how simple it is in its shooting style. It makes everything feel, all the weird stuff feels more interesting because it's getting introduced into a world where everything's so simple in comparison, whereas this is so stylized to begin with that everything feels like it's entering a movie as opposed to like a more play-like setting, as bizarre as that sounds. You did notice an Easter egg though for the original show, if you would like to take credit for it. And
oh yeah, because they're moving out, and the what was it called? Dingle.
Dingle's the name, yeah.
Dingle Movers, which is Mr. Dingle the Strong, an episode that we just reviewed on our classic watching of the Twilight Zone. So
yes,
check out that review.
We tend to agree a lot.
There's
more.
Another one too. There's a on her like little jewelry stand. There's a little toy of an alien. It's the one from the Invaders episode in season 2 as well.
Yeah, we tend
which
to
is appropriate to this
actually,
one because it's about an alien invasion.
I was going to say we agree a lot more on those, but that's not necessarily true. We actually agree a lot more on these, or equally at least. It's just that this one is particularly divided.
Yeah, I didn't think this one was bad. And, most people agree with you, judging from the number on this IMDb page.
Yeah, it's why the lowest rated.
5.5.
Yeah, it's why the lowest rated of the season. In fact, I think it might even be lower than last week's. No,
I think it's the same.
It's equal to last week's. Okay, there you go. Well, yeah, it sucked. This show's terrible. I hate it. I hate it.
We shall continue to bring you reviews every week.
Like, that just like I'm still. It's not as boring to watch as some other shows that I hate, where I have to just stop doing them because every week's different, and it finds ways to piss me off like over and over again. So that's something. And every so often you'll be more forgiving for some reason, and we'll have a fight.
Sometimes, or unless I'm the opposite, like an upstream color.
Yeah. Well, I was definitely meaning with this show because this show tends to be. You might start off slightly positive, and then by the end of it, you're like, yeah, okay, I give in. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's true. I knew I wasn't going to give in this time, though.
Yeah. I wonder how much of this is just because you decided before. No, I put my foot down. This time, I'm not giving in. This time, this is an okay episode, and I'm going to.
I think I made my points.
Going to die in that hell.
Very clear.
All right, next episode. It's called A Small Town, and here's the description on IMDb. A church handyman discovers a magic scale model that gives him the power to help his small town, but the mayor takes all the credit for his good intentions. Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, sort of.
I'm not. Okay. So feel free to like down below if you like the reviews. It's the easiest way to support us on YouTube at the very least, and you can hit that button for the old price of nothing at all. But if you want to support us financially, how can you do that, Tara?
Yeah, if you enjoy the content and you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MouthFuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to film reviews that are not available on the main channel. There's a whole back catalog of science fiction and horror films, and you can maybe some of your favorites are on there. If you donate as low as $5 per month, you will get access to some shows early, including the classic Twilight Zone reviews that we are going through. Again, we are almost at the end of season 2, and those are really fun. So thank you.
There you go. Also, get us on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys, in the Twilight Zone.